Prophets frequently referred to the land of Israel in their messages. And remember I told you all before, as in the Bible, the prophets are not in chronological order. Like you had Isaiah, Jeremiah, okay? Ezekiel, 11 days, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Micah, Nahum, Zechariah, Zephaniah. It's not in that order, okay? They were sent at different stages in the life of Israel and Judah. And it usually tell you he was sent in 722 BC, sent in 986 BC, or whatever they were sent. There was a time that each prophet was sent to the nation. Okay, so it's not just like it is in the Bible, lined out like that. It says the condition of the land. We talk about the land. The land was visible indicator of Israel's spiritual condition. Obedience to the law of God. Law of God constituted, bought prosperity from God's hand, while disobedience bought discipline on the land in the form of drought, famine, and plague. If I shut up the heavens, that there be no rain. And Elijah did that. He was that close to God that he did shut up the heavens for 3 years, that there was no rain because of the condition and disobedience of the spiritual condition of the land. And then he talked to God, and God told him, now after 3 years, I'm going to send some rain. Told his servant, go out on the hill and look and see what you see. He said, I don't see nothing. Go look again. I don't see nothing. Go look again. I see a cloud look like a little dime. Go back and look again. Oh, that cloud's getting bigger now. You all better get back to Jezreel and beat the rain. God opened up the sky again, didn't he?
Yep.
And used Elijah, the prophet, to speak the truth. And it took place. It says, the prophets drew heavily on Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 11 and 28. Those were conditions that they were to keep. The land was an integral part of God's covenant relationship with Israel. The prophet regularly pointed to this visible reality. They wanted to see what God was doing. And he would point it out for them. Look and see what the Lord hath done. Devastation. Look and see all those locusts he sent to strip everything off of the land. That's what God was using the prophets. In the conclusion of the prophets, it said there were 16 prophetic books which are written messages of some of God's prophets. But it should be remembered that God sent hundreds of prophets to his people over the centuries. Our focus is naturally on those whose messages were written down and preserved. That's why we have history. Our approach to the prophets is chronological, okay? That's not like they're listed in the Bible. But our approach in the class will be chronological. Basically, how they were lined out in the Bible to go to Israel at whatever time period God needed them to go. And then it says, he had major prophets, which simply means the prophet's message is greater length. And there is a greater variety of subject matter to be found in his writing. Okay? Even though you have major, minor prophets, they were all the spokesman of God. Okay? Before we do go into the book of Isaiah, turn back to where it says, Kings of Israel. You all see that? Colorful, nice and colorful. April did a good job on that. All right. And we're looking at the kings of Israel. And don't forget, we are looking at through the eyes of the prophets. Through the eyes of the prophets. And remember, God used the prophets, some doing the united kingdom, but basically most of them were doing the divided kingdom. Kings of Israel, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, you had the united monarchy. That's when they kicked God out, Marcus. Went from theocracy to monarchy. Okay, that's from God rule to man rule. See that, Mother Johnson?
This page here.
That's the page. Okay, that's what it says. It went from monarchy Monarchy, that means it's man rule. That's when they came up with kings. Because theocracy was God rule. Okay? God had ruled them during the whole time. God, certainly the time that they were existed, and the time that they went into captivity, and the time that they came out of captivity, and the time that they needed somebody to lead them through the desert by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. That was God rule, Ernest. God had been ruling them while they were in the desert and they didn't have any water to drink, and they came across a stream, and the stream had bitter water in that stream. They had no water to drink and complained. God told them to cut down a tree and throw in there, and they would make the bitter water sweet, so they had water to drink. God established them in the desert in the middle of an oasis of water where there were 17 springs all around them, and the land was all green. God established them there. He had done that for them when they got hungry. God had fed them some manna from heaven, and they ate manna from heaven. God had provided for them the whole 40 years they were in the wilderness. They got tired of the manna from heaven. They wanted some meat to eat. God gave them so many quail, They didn't know what to do with them. God had been their provider from the time that they left until the time that they got here. And now they done got a good job now, Martha. Say they done moved into a land where they didn't work to build their houses. They were already there. There were food and gardens and stuff already planted that they did not plant. God had supplied everything for them. When they got into the new land, they went against God's warning. God told them in the book of Deuteronomy, be careful when you enter into the land that you don't forget the Lord.
Right.
That's the first thing they did, was kick them out. You let us start making a lot of money and get a good job and put a little money in the bank. We used to go to church, but now,
That's right.
Sister June, we have to go. We wasn't making that much money. We got to put our little tithe in there because we wasn't making but